Dorsey, what is winning, yes or no, on your Twitter account poll?
Yes.
Your multitasking skills are quite impressive. In December of 2020, the House Committee on Veterans Affairs released a report entitled Hijacking Our Heroes, Exploiting Veterans Through Disinformation on Social Media. I ask unanimous consent, Mr. Chairman, that this report be submitted for the record.
So ordered.
Thank you. I bring up the report today because it's very deeply disturbing, the involvement of our veterans and military service members in the violence that took place on January 6th. It's estimated that 1 in 5 people charged in connection with the attack have served or are currently serving in the U.S. military. It should come as no surprise to those testifying today that for years, nefarious actors have learned how to harness the algorithms on all of your platforms to introduce content to veterans and military service members that they did not actively seek out for themselves. Veterans and military service members are particularly targeted by malicious actors online in order to misappropriate their voices, authority, and credibility for the dissemination of political propaganda. We have to do better for those who have served our country. Mr. Zuckerberg, do you believe that veterans hold a special status in our communities and have military training, making them prime targets for domestic terrorists and our adversaries seeking to foment insurrection?
Congresswoman, I certainly believe that veterans hold a special place in our society. I haven't seen much research.
Did you see on the National Mall and at the Capitol, there were rioters who arrived in combat gear who were armed with tactical equipment? Did you see those images, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Have you personally talked to the Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America, IAVA, about disinformation campaigns targeting veterans?
No, Congresswoman, I have not personally, although our team certainly is in contact with a number of these groups as we set up our policies.
Have you talked to the Vietnam Veterans of America about disinformation campaigns targeting veterans?
Congresswoman, I can get back to you on whether our team has consulted with them specifically, but broadly when our teams—
Do you believe that veterans and military service members are just like other Americans in that they are susceptible to the impulses in human psychology that Facebook exploits to drive engagement? Do you believe that they are susceptible in that way? Yes,
Congresswoman, there's a lot in your characterization there that I disagree with.
The question of do you think they're susceptible to that kind of information coming at them? Yes or no?
Congresswoman, I believe that.
Okay, so given your answers, I'm not convinced that you have the appropriate resources devoted to the problem of mitigating the real world effects of content that is designed to mislead and radicalize your users, especially those who are veterans and military service members. Would you support legislation that would require you to create an Office of Veterans Affairs that reports to the CEO and works with outside veterans service organizations to ensure our enemies don't gain ground trying to radicalize our brave men and women who serve in our military? Would you support that legislation?
Congresswoman, I think the details matter a lot, so I would be happy to follow up with you or have our team follow up with your team to discuss this. But in general, I do think that—
on that, Mr. Zuckerberg, it's just a broad stroke. Do you believe that you could find your way to support legislation that would have as its goal the protection of our military, active duty, and veterans?
I think in principle, I think something like that could certainly make sense.
So I wrote to you, Mr. Zuckerberg, last month requesting information about Facebook's efforts to curb disinformation campaigns that specifically targeted American service members and veterans. I'm just curious if you know how many public groups with the word veteran or public pages with the word veteran did you remove from your platform after January 6th in association with misinformation about the 2020 election or the attack on the Capitol?
Congresswoman, I don't know the answer off the top of my head, but I'd be happy to get back to you with that.
Thank you. Thank you. We believe that you should be tracking that information. Your platform was, in fact, a crime scene after January 6th, and we need that information and data to understand how the attack happened. I want to thank all three of you for coming here today and spending so much time with us. I yield back, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.